Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to do the sonnet, The Pilgrim of the Night by Sri Aurobindo. Aurobindo was born in 1872, died in 1950. He studied at Cambridge but failed the writing test for entry into the Indian civil services. Thereafter, for some years, he was in Baroda on a teaching post. At that time, he was a revolutionary. Later, he turned to religion with the same zest and devotion. In 1910, he moved to Puducherry, earlier called Pondicherry, where he founded an ashram. His long poem, Savitri, was published during the years 1946 to 51. This poem describes the soul's journey from earth to heaven. The Pilgrim of the Night is a sonnet with 3 stanzas and a concluding couplet, hence a Shakespearean sonnet. The title is allegorical. The pilgrim is the poet himself, and the night refers to the turmoil in his soul, symbolizing the spiritual struggle when all seems dark and without any ray of hope. He has personified night, giving it the status of a loved one. Words like assignation and rendezvous reinforce the meaning. By designating his journey as a pilgrimage, he has raised the conflict to the level of a religious struggle where he is determined to meet, woo, and finally overcome the darkness. The poem describes the long, endless journey and the poet's invincible faith which keeps him going. The darkness also stands for ignorance, which has to be dispelled before spiritual light, that is knowledge, can descend upon him. A large number of adjectives are used to indicate the eternal truth and the true meaning of religion. Deathless or immortal, illumined, divinized, lustrous, celestial, and similar other words build up one discourse. On the other side are words like dim, blind, weary, ignorant to indicate the darkness. There is also a use of transferred epithets in the poem. When an adjective meant for an absent noun is used with another noun, which in this case becomes a symbol, or a phrase is compressed, it is a case of transferred epithet. For purposes of illustration, in the phrase weary journeying, the weariness of the traveler is transferred to the journey. The subject of the weariness is the traveler. Similarly, instead of saying that the journey has tired one, we say tiring journey. Again, in ignorant waters, it is not the waters that are ignorant, but it is a symbolical way of saying that ignorance is limitless, one sinks in it. You will find all these illustrations in the poem. Let me read the sonnet for you, The Pilgrim of the Night. I made an assignation with the night. In the abyss was fixed our rendezvous. In my breast, carrying God's deathless light, I came, her dark and dangerous heart to woo. I left the glory of the illumined mind and the calm rapture of the divinized soul, and traveled through a vastness, dim and blind, to the grey shore where her ignorant waters roll, and still that weary journeying knows no end. Lost is the lustrous Godhead beyond time. There comes no voice of the celestial friend, and yet I know my footprints' track shall be a pathway towards immortality. The poet in this poem refers to death through night. Death is as dark as night. Death blinds the eyes and makes the world as dark as night. So the meeting with death was fixed in an abyss. Death approaches suddenly and takes the soul out of the body to a place which could be defined as abyss. No one has ever known when and where this meeting of body and death will occur. Death means an endless, a baseless pit, dark pit, So the poet refers to his last journey, that is, journey towards death through darkness. The soul never dies, it is immortal and is in us till the time we all are alive. The meeting of the poet, that is, rendezvous or assignation, poet and knight, is accompanied by his immortal soul, which is God's everlasting gift. And here, soul is wooing night, which means that soul wins over night, which is so terrible that the body cannot survive it. It dies, leaving the soul. When the body gives up and dies, the illumined brain, the unusual gift to humans, also dies. It stops functioning, so the poet, while meeting death, has to part with his brain, which has been his most dearest instrument in thinking the transition from life to death is very smooth. The soul, which is the divine gift, raptures out of the body towards the vast darkness. Death is an unknown journey towards an unknown destination. No one has ever known the end point of his journey. It's a journey of soul through darkness towards darkness. The shore is grey, which means it has no limits. The waters are unknown and undefined, and the wave is cold without the air of coziners or no friends. It is an uninteresting journey which is unending. The journey of the soul after death is beyond the limits of time, absorbed in one aim and thought that through this journey the soul would be united to God forever. Death makes us leave the world forever, and on the other shore, the soul finds no friend waiting to meet. No God or human soul is met during this dark journey, but the poet feels that his footsteps are guided towards immortality. Now, no night and death will ever bother him, for his soul has won, both by letting his soul out of mortal body. The soul, once out of the body, becomes immortal and travels in darkness to unite with God forever. This poem is based on Sri Aurobindo's philosophy. This is one interpretation. There may be other meanings of the symbols and words used by Sri Aurobindo, and it carries layers of meanings, and it depends on the students and depend on us, students of English literature, to explore those deeper meanings. This much for today. Thank you.